Hey, welcome to the second video of the series on fan animating. And to show you that the program still functions, even though I did some major surgery on that original textbook code. Let's run it. Looks great. Looks great. It's responsive. I could stop it, resume it, reverse it. It all works great. So this video should actually be quicker because I don't really need to discuss all the things necessary to make a fan. I don't need to talk about the uh, the blades of the fan, the arcs and stuff like that. So let's just take a look at this. Let's close this out. There's your main method. Don't you enjoy it? Don't you like it? Isn't that a nice main method? The start. The start basically establishes the GUI. Put that GUI inside the scene. And, well, it might not be intuitively obviously right away. The first version was easier to code because all the variables were available to you at your beck and call. They were available. You can go ahead and use them. Because things are in separate classes, you got to make these variables available to other classes by providing getters and setters for those variables so that one class is able to access another class's uh, data, their state. So it didn't, it's because I wanted that responsive, I want this app to be responsive. I need to have access to the fan. The fan, I need to grab the fan's width. I need to set the fan's set W method so it paints the fan correctly. But the GUI doesn't have direct access unless I create a method inside the fan that says, okay, get me the fan portion of the GUI. Once I have the fan portion of the GUI, then I can make it responsive with these two methods right there. Nice, very good. Let's go take a look at the GUI. Now here's the GUI. Nice, short, sweet snippets of code here. Basically, the GUI is a border pane. All right. In the constructor, I initialize my GUI. I create a pane right there. And notice that pane gets put inside a private member field of the GUI. And usually what happens is I make variables members of the class when I need to have access to those variables. Okay, like the pane in the animation. See, this is basically the same code. The pane in the animation need to be made available to the rest of the world by having them to be part of the class. Now, the control buttons pane, I make a local variable. Now, the local variables are the most restrictive because they're only seen local to the class, to the method. I don't want the world to have access to the control buttons pane. Okay, I just want that control buttons pane to have access to the animation, to the fan itself, and I don't want to make that control buttons pane a member of the GUI, although I could have. But if you make it available to as an attribute of the GUI, then you run the risk of accessing that when you don't really want to give access. The whole idea behind programming is the need to know principle. The world doesn't need to know about the existence of this. Only the GUI itself needs to know about the GUI exists, so that it can put it at the bottom so you can put that pane at the bottom of the border. This fan has to be uh, accessed. This fan has to be accessed in the center. And here's that method that says, hey, get the fan, return this GUI's fan attribute so that the main method have access to it. Nice. See, that's gonna go. This video is gonna go quick, so we just did two of those things. The control buttons pane is like any other control buttons. Doesn't that make sense to create a button and set an action right afterwards? Create these buttons. Okay, when we hit the pause button, the animation needs to be paused. When we resume, we need it to be played. Okay, the reverse needs to call the reverse method of the fan. That's why we needed access to these values right here. When you made the constructor, I have the animation, I have the fan, And this just lays out the components in a horizontal box that gets placed on the bottom. We've seen that before. And the fan pane is basically the same code. It is the same code. Although I did clean it up a little bit, I have to say. I wanted to make that code mine. I didn't like the way he did it. See, I like to establish my variables, my class variable, but my instance variables there. I don't want to give them values because the best place to put those values is in the constructor. That's where you set the 200 by 200, the angles. Basically, it's the same code, only I initialize inside the constructor. I did rename in the first video they call them set values. That's not a good name. What you really want to do is paint the fan. Okay, that's what you're doing, is you're painting the fan. When you change an instance of this fan pane, like when you want to set the width and redraw, you set the width of the panel to what you pass in, and then you want to repaint the fan based on the value of the width. Same thing for the height. When you want to move the fan, you set the start angle, and that start angle establishes the start angle in the class. You repaint the fan. So that's a better name than set values. Okay, it functions. Now, the third version of this file of this series involves the inner classes. This is the people who had me for data structures may have seen inner classes. I'm going to talk about it in a big way when we do the third version, and you can use it for your next program as well. All right, let's stop the video here, and we'll see you in version 3.